Yeah.
Stuart, say hi.
Meanwhile, I've got some
Video.
just a pot of water here heating up. I'm going to melt some white chocolate to make a little decoration.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday. When are you going to take the picture?
Happy birthday to him.
It's a video.
So this is just, I got some white
25
chocolate chips here.
You are my best.
Now you mentioned
Say hi to Stuart.
earlier that white
Hello,
chocolate's
Stuart.
not really
Happy
chocolate,
birthday.
right? Why is that?
Hi. I hope you like it. Say happy birthday to Stuart.
Getting old. They say white chocolate. Some people say it's not really chocolate.
It's not.
Well, it's white chocolate is mostly cocoa butter. It comes from the cocoa bean, and what they do is process it. The fat, essentially the fat from the cocoa bean comes out and separates from the cocoa powder, and they end up with cocoa butter and cocoa powder. And in order to make white chocolate, they add milk and vanilla and flavorings. I tend to think white chocolate, it comes from the cocoa bean. I mean, technically, I kind of think of it as chocolate, although it doesn't contain any dark chocolate. Technically.
With all due respect, that's the difference between hormones and no hormones.
Oh, yeah. Technicalities.
So it's just major technicality.
It's just fat. That's what they say.
It's
Dark
just
chocolate's
fat.
healthier for
There
you.
you go.
Dark chocolate has less fat, less milk and dairy and vanilla, all the flavorings there.
The
white has all the fat.
So here we're getting a nice golden brown color.
Yeah.
Just a few more seconds.
So you're going to do little like
Yeah, we'll do a little decoration just on here while they cool down.
but you can do with anything.
Much easier.
Sorry. But you can do with your laptop.
I'm going to shut the heat off.
That's too far away.
You see, when it starts to smoke, that kind of hits the burning point where I don't want to go any more than that. So you get a nice golden brown color.
They didn't see the brown color. Yeah.
Very brown.
Nice golden brown,
It's a
yeah.
pretty light brown color. I mean, you can't see.
Delicious brown.
Now this is pure sugar, so as it cools down, it's going to form a solid. It's going to firm up because we've cooked all the water out of it. And what I'm going to do now on my little
It's 150
pad here
proof.
is just make some little decorations. Make some little lines, some little swirls.
Oh, that's cool.
Sally, look at this.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Just a little bit of water.
That's how you make the little lace things that go on.
You can do little designs or little. I'm just going to kind of do a little straight line here. If you can't see now, once we put everything together, you'll start to see it when you get your dessert.
Smell it,
Is that really what caramel is? Just sugar?
Now, if we wanted to make a caramel sauce or caramel candies, all we'd have to do is add a little butter to this or heavy cream, depending on how thin we wanted it to be, and you've got a really simple caramel sauce.
It's like the kid. Almost.
One, two,
Because he's going to use that now. You can pull it off of that.
yeah, it's gonna be natural.
I don't know where it went.
Right in front of
Comes out almost like glass.
you.
Uh-oh.
Look down. Bonnie.
The rum went missing.
Look straight down.
Rum's gone out.
There we go. So I've got quite a few here. I'm going to set this aside.
How much sugar did you start with?
Probably about 2 to 3 cups of sugar. Move this out of the way. Gonna hang out there. I got my water boiling. Now when I'm melting chocolate, you want to be very, very careful. Chocolate burns at about 100 degrees. I'm almost just above body temperature. So when I melt chocolate, we do what's called a double boiler. I've got a pot of water here that I brought up to a boil. I want to shut the heat off and remove it. Because I don't, just the steam, that's hot enough to melt the chocolate. You know, like M&Ms, it'll melt in your mouth. You don't want to overheat it. Melt in your mouth, not in your hands.
Yeah, chocolate melts at about 97, 98.
Yeah, really, probably about 90, but the ideal temperature is we want to heat this up to about 98 to about 100 degrees. And you know, it's just the steam that's going to start to melt this white chocolate.
But you take it off the heat.
Yes.
You're going to play with that.
Yeah, we'll make a little other decorations. We got some white chocolate, we got some caramel. And I'm all about presentation, you know, what you see first, you see with your eyes first. So I want to make it look nice, make a nice presentation here. Got some parchment paper. It's just a baking sheet. And this, what we call an accordion cutter, almost like a pizza cutter, but we got several wheels here.
Wow.
You can adjust the size. These are great. I picked this up for about 20 bucks.
That guy Pinhead, it looks like.
You know, it's great for, somebody mentioned pasta or crackers. You know, we can set this and get lots of little squares and designs and nice perfect little cuts. We're going to use this to make our chocolate decoration.
That's very cool.
Someone cut 5 feet.
I think that's a Royals tool for quintuplets.
Uh-oh.
That's called rock and roll.
So my chocolate's starting to melt here.
You had to go there, didn't you?
Yep, it doesn't take much.
Somebody had to.
Just the heat from that water. I don't need any heat. I mean, once chocolate burns, just like the cocoa butter, it'll separate. You end up with cocoa mass in the cocoa butter. And once it's burned, just like you're burning anything, it can never go back. You can't make it good again. So you want to be very careful. We're almost melted here. Spatula, you gonna be my assistant?
I will.
Told you.
Put you to work if you're back here. There we go.
Standing there, she's waiting for her invite. Just call me Vanna.
All right, we're gonna. It's very important to stir the chocolate because I've got all the heat on the bottom. I want to melt it quickly. I want to distribute the heat. And as soon as I get all the little chunks out, we'll remove it. Some of that rum's missing. Somebody.
Just a little.
No, there weren't any shot glasses. We need some shot glasses.
Oh, some of us have to drive. Be careful. All right, we're all melted up here. Remove this from the heat.
Yeah, why did you drive tonight? Sort of got your luck.
Yeah, you can try it.
Now, water and chocolate do not mix because chocolate's a fat, and just like oil and water don't mix, I'm going to need a dry towel there. Thank you, ma'am. Make sure I don't want to get any drips in my chocolate. Dry off my bowl here. Pour it onto my parchment.
What's this gonna be?
Just a little white chocolate shard, a little decoration just for on top. So, lots of decorations. We got caramel, we got white chocolate. I'm going to spread it real thin. Maybe a little more chocolate.
You don't want to waste
We don't want to waste it. Might as well.
Right? Where are the boys when we need them,
You gonna lick the bowl? You want-
Sorry you asked.
Oh, you gotta eat it all then. No leftovers on the floor.
So creamy.
Yeah, nice
That's
and
all the
smooth.
cocoa fat.
Yep. And we want to try to get it nice and even. Now we want to let it sit. You see, it's for those of you who can't see, it's really shiny right now. As it starts to cool, it'll turn opaque. And as it turns opaque, it starts to firm up. So once it starts to turn opaque, we're going to cut it. When it's still pliable, but it's not liquid. If I try to run this through right now, it's going to be liquid, just a soupy mess. But we want to be able to cut the chocolate in nice little pieces without it being too firm where it cracks and makes a big mess. So you're going to have to keep an eye on that for just a minute. And I'll start my banana. So I've got some sliced up bananas. I prefer they were just a little bit green, which is actually good. If they're too overripe, when you start to cook them, they just turn into mush and fall apart. Plus, we're going to be adding sugar to it, so it's going to give plenty of sweetness. I've got my 151 here.
Sure that's enough?
We'll see.
You can put the rest of the bottle in, I think.
Now we want to let that cook just a little bit. I'm going to add some, I've got my spices here, cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, and a little bit of clove.
Oh, you didn't put it all in?
Not quite, that's a lot of spice. Now what we want to do is bring it to a quick boil and turn the heat up.
Yeah, turn on the heat.
And as the alcohol starts to kind of evaporate and create fumes, that's what will allow us to actually light it on fire.
Whoa.
Just like that.
Oh, come on. Hey, a restaurant. Waiters will have a lighter or a match or something just to be sure in the pocket. There's actually a warning on the bottle. I don't think that's a warning. I mean, they catch fire.
Do not breathe in your neighbor's house, especially if you put it in with a bunch of bananas.
To that, we're going to add some butter.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. And some brown sugar.
So you're firing it before, so, okay. I was thinking you did that at the end.
I like to do it before just to caramelize the bananas, because once you get the butter and the sugar in there, it kind of prevents it from getting really cooking the bananas. It ends up like a soup. So I like to do it early. Brown sugar. We'll let that cook down.
And you don't stir, you just squish.
No, I'm going to stir a little bit. I want to break up the sugar. Let that do its magic.
Oh, I gotta stir.
Now, a lot of people say, you know, all the alcohol cooks out, but technically, only about 20% of the alcohol will actually cook out.
So we got
You
how
want to
much?
flame it.
151?
So we,
That's why you start with the strong stuff, because you're gonna lose 20.
oh, 20%. So we're, you know, we're still a good, what,
You're down to 130.
110?
So now it's only 120%.
Well, that's not the proof, that's the percentage is the proof of 2 different numbers.
That's correct. So there we go.
So only about 20% cooks out.
Yes, so
You're
you still get a
still a
pretty
little
high alcohol
Even when you're
content.
using wine or something for sauté.
That's correct. So this is just starting to turn opaque.
Now it's
Still
just
soft.
Still soft.
I'm going to put it over on the marble here where it's a little cooler.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it was cold marble.
Good.
Smell good?
smells great.
Actually, I'm going to put you to work. We can start scooping our ice cream.
I can do that. Let me wash my hands first.
We got sink 50 here. Yep, right behind you.
So how long have you been doing this?
I've been baking about 16 years. Actually, in the very beginning, I'm a former student of Chef Gary. Years and years ago, back to, I think we both had more hair back then.
Have you specialized just in dessert?
I specialize now, I just specialize in pastry. I went to school for culinary, but I found baking was kind of to be my calling. I enjoy it a little more. It's a little more, I like following recipes. I think it's a little more artistic. And now I have Sugar Cube Bakery in downtown Bradenton.
Okay, where's the ice cream?
Where is that? Is that on Old Main
Right
Street?
now we're in the, just south of Old Main Street right now in the Village of the Arts.
Okay.
But I'm actually moving just downtown in about 3 or 4 weeks. We've got a brand new shop we're opening up.
Is it homemade ice cream?
It is fresh made ice cream. I made it yesterday. I would have made it today. I know they have a ice cream machine here, but
Really?
really good ice cream. It should be frozen overnight in the machine. You kind of get a soft serve, but